All right, hey y'all. It is April 11th. Um Again, I actually skipped yesterday. I skipped the 10th. Just cuz the day kind of getting away from me. After work I just ended up being on FaceTime with my friends for a while, and then by the time that was over, I was kind of all comfy and curled up on the couch, and then it was time to go to bed. It was cold last night, so the idea of getting out from under the covers and just like was not fun. So didn't do it. Skipped it. Um, yeah, today is a very exciting day, and that is because it is my last Saturday of tax season. Um, or I should say like my last mandatory Saturday of tax season, just because this is not a normal tax season and the tax deadline isn't actually in 4 days. It's in a couple months. So there's a possibility that in, late June and early July, when the tax deadline's actually coming up, they might ask us like, hey, we need some help. Can you guys come in on Saturday? Which I'm totally fine with doing. But the difference is asking and offering that versus mandatory hours. Um, even though today I only worked uh, the 4 hours that were like required, um, it was still like, I don't know, there's a mental thing. There's a mental aspect to it of working on Saturdays that it's just not fun. Um, and again, like I don't really understand how it's only 4 hours. Like if I had to work a 4 hour workday normally, I'd be like, oh my god, I have this whole day. Um, but when I work 4 hours on Saturday, I'm like, somehow my entire day is gone. So next Saturday is the first Saturday I will get to wake up and not have to go anywhere, which will be really nice, although it's a little bittersweet because I should be um, in Cape Cod next Saturday, but I'm evidently not going because this. Speaking of this, so I get some updates. So it was again a bit of a, I don't know, plus minus day, both yesterday and today. This was just going to be an eventuality based on our size. We have now overtaken Italy as the country with the most coronavirus deaths. Um, so yeah, we now have more than any in the world, which is like yesterday 2,000 people died, um, which was very sobering to think about. And it's insane to me how people are like saying, oh, it's only 2,000 people. I'm like, okay, yeah, compared to the billions and billions of people on this planet, it's a really small percentage, but that's 2,000 families. Like, fewer people than that died in 9/11. And that just, that completely revolutionized everything in America. Um, and so, like, yeah, that can have a really big impact. Speaking of 9/11, another very sobering thing is listening to first responders mention how much they're reminded of 9/11 working in New York right now. And it's, that was September 11th, 2001. That was almost 19 years ago. Um, and no one thought, less than 20 years later they'd be in a situation, because that was unlike anything that ever happened before. So in less than 20 years to have a situation reminiscent of that is something no one ever thought of, something no one ever wanted, but we're here. And hopefully the response is, as proportional, like the amount of support and just efforts that went out after 9/11, you're already seeing people do. So, excuse me. Maybe I'll take a nap now that I'm done work. Love taking naps. Oh, it's so funny. My dog, literally, here, I'll show her to you guys real quick. Um, here she is. Literally, she's just napping. That's all she does, constantly, 24/7, until I would like to nap. And the minute I decide to nap is when she's like, okay, it's up time, it's playtime. It's no matter what time it is. She could be in the midst of her. I guarantee if I went to nap right now, she would jump up and be like, okay, playtime. Um, so yeah, but sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. Anyway, so even though those are all really sobering, really sad things, we are seeing people respond well. We're seeing a bunch of other stuff on a personal matter. My grandparents live by themselves in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, which is a little community right outside of Pittsburgh. And, you know, we worry about them. They are probably to a point where they shouldn't be living by themselves, but they are annoyingly and astoundingly stubborn and independent. Um, and they point blank refuse to move. And, there's only so much you can do. It's not like you can, knock them out, drive them to a nursing home and say like, see ya, like it's, if they insist upon that, it's kind of what you have to deal with. Obviously you try as much as possible to get them the aid they need and stuff like that, but it's not always the easiest thing to do. They won't always accept it. They don't always have the skills or the means to utilize it. So it's hard, and especially considering this really attacks the elderly, we were very, very concerned, especially because they have a tendency to not go to doctors. Not that they don't trust doctors or anything, like they've both been in and out of the hospital a lot recently in the past 10 years, but it's like, oh, we'll be fine. And actually, not once, but a couple times we've heard reports that like my grandmother was sick and it was like, oh, hush, oh, she's feeling a little down. She's in bed. She has a fever. Ended up being so bad that she had to go to the emergency room because she had a horrendously bad infection for UTI, and it was like causing her to go like insane. So, if you're kind of used to that, you're like, okay, you guys need to, if you are feeling any kind of sick, like you need medical attention because it will escalate. But yeah, so we're gonna cross our fingers. They promised us. We made sure they had a working thermometer so they could tell if they had a fever. And they promised us if anything happened, they would, get help as soon as they can. But their neighbors around have been wonderful. I talked to them yesterday, and there's apparently a girl who lives down the road who had never met them before, never talked to them before, but knew they lived there, knew they were by themselves, knew they were elderly. So when this happened, she went, and I doubt she talked face to face with them because, contact, but communicated with them and said, look, I will get you whatever you need. Tell me what you want. I will go shopping. I'll bring you stuff. I'll bring you cleaning supplies. I'll bring you whatever you need so you guys don't have to go out. And the people who live across the street, they're like, yeah, we got takeout. We got an extra portion. Do you guys want us to just bring over dinner? And they'll bring stuff over and just leave it on the porch for them. So that was really nice to hear that, unbeknownst to us, people were taking care of my grandparents so that they didn't have to go out and didn't have to risk themselves further than they already have to, just by kind of existing in the way we all are. So that was really nice. You are starting to hear reports now really, really faintly of like we might be flattening the curve. Even though I just said some sobering facts about how many people died yesterday and stuff like that. New York, for the past 3 days, has been releasing more coronavirus patients than it's been taking into its hospitals, which hadn't happened yet. and just like little things like that. That like, yeah, unfortunately, death tolls are still rising, but that's going to lag behind anyway once you hit your peak. The idea of peaks being hit in different cities and different countries is starting to come about. So my kind of prediction is, my guess is we're in for the rest of April easily, and probably most of May. I think at the end of May is when things are going to start reopening, um, and kind of venturing out. There's talks in America, well, desires of people, I think I mentioned this before, wanting to find out if you, using antibody tests to find out if you have the antibodies built up for it, if you could go back to work, because presumably you're fine and you can't be reinfected and you can't infect other people if you have the antibodies for it. So those people could conceivably go around in society with herd immunity, and our economy can pick up a little bit and do something and exist. Excuse me, I thought I was gonna sneeze. So yeah, don't really know how that's going. That I think would require substantive testing, which we don't even have tests to confirm if people are currently sick. So I don't really know how we're going to magically get all these tests to test for antibodies, but hey, I'll take it if they do it. I'll 100% take it if they do it. In that sense, Italy has extended its lockdown through May 3rd, which, not really surprising to anyone at this point. And yeah, tomorrow's Easter, which was what Trump said we'd all be open and back by now, which, shock of shocks. A man with absolutely zero medical knowledge was incorrect about. Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate because it is freezing today, but it is gorgeous. For the past couple days, it was so nice. It was in like the 60s and sunny. I think I told you guys I got sunburned, which I know that sounds stupid, but I'm so pale. I burn so easily that, getting my first sunburn of the year is always like, woohoo, summer's coming. Like I wear sunscreen, but it's just, I burn thinking about the sun. Like there's only so much you can do. But hopefully tomorrow will be really nice for Easter. It's supposed to be like sunny and like 66 degrees. So even though yesterday and today are freezing and I have the heat on in my house and I have my hot water bottle, which I love my hot water bottle. If no one has used a hot water bottle on here before, they're like $12 on Amazon. At least they were when I bought mine. It comes with a cute little sweater. You boil water, you fill it up, and you cuddle with it all night long, and it is just warm and love and happiness. I know you can buy electric ones, but I prefer, I don't know, the idea of it slightly freaks me out. I'm worried I might, get entangled up in the cord, or it can burst into flames, or I'm sure all of those are completely unfounded, but it just freaks me out. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I think I'm going to celebrate being done my Saturdays by making myself some matzo brie and making myself a mimosa, because quarantine is no excuse to let your mixology skills slip. If anything, you should work harder on them. All right, I will talk to y'all later. Bye.